Hello and welcome, you join me ADG, and here we are for yet another round of the team versus team brought to us by NxtGen Racing. We've had a week's break in between round 5 and 6 for the guys to be able to recover, get the blisters sorted on the hands from all that steering wheel action, and hopefully get motivated for the second half of the season. I'm just getting myself set up, so do bear with me for a moment or two once we get everything ready, and I will quickly be with you and give you a proper introduction to what's going on tonight. I'm going to, if I've got enough time, might be a bit short on time, but I'll try and do it if possible. Good evening, Dark Smoker, Burnt Fry. Joining me already, I've only just got it on myself. I'm just going to do a lap or two. I'm not on the wheel, I'm on the pad. Burnt Fry's on the pad? Oh my god. And he's win the championship? Oh. Well, it'll be your fingers that are blistered then, rather than your palms of the hand. Good evening, Steve. Steve Hill's joining us once again, seems to be here every week with us. So, I'm gonna, like I just said, I'm going to quickly, if I can, if we've got enough time, I've got about 3 minutes to get it done, but I just want to quickly go around this lap. I probably won't get a hot lap in, so I'll just do it on this out lap and just hopefully spell out some of the dangers of this track and some of the things to look out for, because there is a couple of tricky corners on here that aren't necessarily really difficult corners, but if you get the line wrong, it compounds through the next corner and then the next one again. They're kind of crucial in that way. So the first corner's not too tricky. This is a little bit of a tricky one. I'll go slowly over it. If you take too much curb like I did there, you try to cut it too much, it really unsettles the car, and then getting the braking done into that tight right hander is really tricky, because you're trying to gather up the car, trying to get it back under control, and then more often than not, in my experience anyway, you miss the braking point. So this one is the most important corner on the track in my opinion. You've got to hit that apex at the right time. Same with this one, you want to be hitting it late, and same with this one, you want to be hitting it late again, so you straighten up the exit as I've done there, rather than putting too much steering lock on as you've gone past the apex. You want the steering nice and straight so you can power out, and then down the hill, quite a steep hill actually, downhill braking zone into the tight right hander, down 3 gears in my AMG at the moment, and then coming to the dreaded and the infamous chicane of death. So this is all flat out, over to the right hand side as much as possible, little lift, get it turned in. That wasn't brilliant, that's not how you want to do it, but there you go. That's a perfect example of how it all can go wrong by the tiniest difference in your line, and just taking that little bit too much curb can really unsettle the car through there. So that is one that we're going to have to watch out for most of the drivers tonight, and I'm sure there will be at some point a little bit of drama through there from one or two of them. So it should be quite an interesting evening tonight with 2 races, and that's about all I'm going to have time to do, so I do apologise, but hopefully I've given you some kind of impression of the difficulties and the track itself. Good evening, Paul. Paul Twig joining us. So yeah, anyway, I'll actually introduce what we're actually doing tonight. So it's 2 sprint races. We're on to round 6 now of a 10-round championship, so we're into the second half of the championship, and yeah, we've got 2 races tonight, 2 sprint races, both on this track. The first race being 11 laps and the second race being 19 laps. The tyre wear's on as usual in this championship. Everyone's in the Group 3 cars as they picked at the beginning of the season. There's no chance to change mid-season or anything like that. And obviously the fuel is on as well, so there's a little bit of strategy in these races, especially race 2, the 19 lap one. We'll definitely be looking at saving tyres, maybe saving fuel, and trying to eke out as much performance out of the cars for as long as possible before diving in the pits. So should be quite interesting. 2 slightly different races just because of the difference in length, but on the same track. Anyway, that's taken me perfectly up to the beginning of qualifying, which is just about to start. Cutler, our host once again, thank you very much to Cutler, hosting week in, week out in this championship. He seems to be happy enough to do it. I've ended up in qualifying, so I need to jump out. I'm not actually racing. So I'm jumping and spectate, and we're away. So everyone jumping out of the pits to start their outlap. We've got Burnt Fry and Gnarly Pop and Neutron Storm incredibly close together as they come out of the pit, so hopefully they sort that out before they all start getting onto the first flying lap. You don't want to be too, obviously in qualifying you don't mind a slipstream from the car in front, but you certainly don't want to be too close because you can obviously hinder your lap time. So we've seen the familiar faces that we've seen for the last 5 weeks, minus the break. It's good to see everyone back. A couple of different liveries. I know Burnt Fry's actually gone for a different livery tonight and switched it up a little bit from what is run from the previous 5 races, so it's good to see, a bit of a change. So rest assured it is the same guy. Good evening, Paul Buck. God, there's loads of Pauls in here. There's Paul Twig, Paul Buck. I say loads, that's only 2, but slight over-exaggeration with loads. So yeah, Burnt Fry at the moment, the car we're looking at, the BMW M6 of NGR Burnt Fry 699 is currently the championship leader, and Steerwheel Racing is currently in second. So at the moment it's all down to Burnt Fry to keep these results coming in, week out, and it should end up with a really good chance at winning the championship in the end if he doesn't have too many dramas. Right, I don't know why I'm just watching Burnt Fry, just because I had something to say about him, I guess. Where are we? I haven't even got all the stuff on. Mr. Organised over here, as usual. So Damien's the first of our drivers on the outlap now. Coming up to what I mentioned a moment ago, being one of the trickiest corners on the track, not necessarily to actually get through it, but to get the line right for the exit to carry the speed through the next 2 corners. Steerwheel Racing back once again, second in the championship like I've said, so done a grand job so far, and he'll be looking for a couple of good results tonight, as will everybody. That's the idea of racing at the end of the day, but Steerwheel Racing has shown throughout the season so far that he's quite consistent, he's able to put in those results, so he'll be looking to do it once again tonight. Thank you for joining. Quick look at Gnarly Pop, he's closing right up on the back of Lucky Bucky, so he might, if he's not careful, a bit of drama, just skimmed the wall on the exit of the chicane of death there. Got away with it though, might have lost a little bit of time, but not too much time lost from that one, I dare say. I thought he was going to close up on the back of Lucky Bucky and maybe have to sacrifice backing out of his lap, but it's not that close in the end, both in the AMG. Let's have a look at Cutler, our host. Had a bit of a mixed championship so far in the previous 5 rounds. He's had some really good results, but he's had some disappointing ones along the way as well. Some incidents have dropped him a little bit further down the field than you probably would expect, but that's the way racing goes sometimes. CRT Lucky Bucky, another familiar driver. He's missed a couple of rounds due to work commitments, but he's joined us on the stream and managed to watch the action, but obviously not being involved himself. Damien, another one, back with us. I can't believe now I see him every week, but I didn't realise that was Damien when I first saw him. First week I commentated on this guy, I was saying D4M1 every time I mentioned him, so it's so obvious now I see it, Damien 666, but for some reason I couldn't see it that one week. Phil G, which is a new driver to me. It looks like he's jumped in the championship, maybe filling the boots of one of the drivers that can't quite commit to the full championship and has dropped out. So Phil G, we'll see how he goes. I've no idea, I've never seen him race before, so it'll be interesting to see where he's at in the pack and what kind of times he can put in. Big Z, another familiar face with the unbelievably bright livery. If you've watched any of these streams and races before, you'll remember that livery. It's not one you can forget. Tiny Tortoise, had a really good chat with him during this week, earlier in the week, and found out some rather exciting information about him and a couple of the people that he knows. So I might mention that later on, but he might not want me to say anything, so I'll keep it to myself for now. Gnarly Pop in 9th at the moment, coming for a pit stop. Neutron Storm, our 13-year-old driver, really quite young, but certainly shown that he's capable so far throughout the championship. So he's an exciting talent to keep our eye on. Neutron Storm, not just fast, but he's more than capable of getting involved and putting pressure on, getting the overtakes done. And we've seen some really good racing from him so far in this championship. Anyway, I think that's more or less all the drivers covered, and a little bit said about them all after the season break. So we'll actually jump in and commentate a little bit on the times that are actually going on. So Steer Wheel Racing has currently done the fastest time of a 1:37.146. I do know because I was in the practice lobby before all this started, and with some of the guys from the pro lobby as well. But I did see a 1:36 and a low 1:36 lap time from the other guys. So there's definitely a 1:36 that is lap time out of this track, depending on what car and setup you've got, obviously. But it is possible because I've seen it done earlier. So a 1:37.1 though, it's a very respectable time, not far off at all to what I'm mentioning, the 1:36. And we're only at the beginning of qualifying as well. So the fuel obviously plays a part in qualifying. As the fuel drops, the car gets lighter. That's why we see cars coming into the pits halfway through and even towards the end of qualifying to use the lighter car with some fresh tyres to potentially get themselves higher up the order. It's nothing new, but obviously if there's a couple of guys joining us, I hate feeling like I'm patronising anyone, because I realise if you've watched any of these before, you understand all this, and I'm probably just repeating myself, but I just go through it just in case there's anyone that hasn't joined us before, not familiar with what's going on, and at least they've got some kind of explanation, they can understand the context of the race. So where are we now? Burnt Fry's now put in the fastest lap, and there we see our first 1:36.498 from Burnt Fry. Steer Wheel Racing has now got to improve to try and claim that pole position back. NGR Cutler in 3rd position, and he's 8/10 off Burnt Fry at the moment in 1st, so a bit of work to do to try and promote himself higher up the leaderboard. Lucky Bucket with a 1:38.0 at the moment, so not a bad time, but certainly a little bit of time to find if possible. Sean with a very similar time as well to Lucky Bucket, very similar indeed, so those two are incredibly close at the moment with only 200ths of a second between them. Damien in 6th, coming into the pits, he's had a 1:38.644 so far, so again not too far off the pace of Sean and Lucky Bucket in 4th and 5th, but a little bit of work to do to try and climb up a little bit higher. Armin looks like he might have had a little bit of contact going through the chicane of death there on one of the walls, because he's picked up damage, engine damage as well, so he's crawling back to the pits to repair his car, keeping out of the way of the other drivers, don't want to ruin anyone's fast laps, and he's actually brought himself more or less to a stop to get right out of the way there. Sensible thing to do, and we like to see that kind of stuff in these lobbies, everyone giving each other mutual respect, and you can't say fairer than that, quite frankly. Phil G then, so what's Phil G done so far? He hasn't managed a quick lap as of yet, so keep an eye on him. I have no idea if he's going to be up there with the quick guys or towards the back. We shall see when he finally puts a lap in. Biggsy towards the back. Biggsy's had some good races through this championship so far. Looking at his times on the right hand side, he hasn't quite managed to put a representative qualifying time in yet, but he's still got just over 5 minutes to go to be able to do so, so it's not the end of the world. Tiny Tortoise in 12th position. So this is the guy I was talking to during the week. He's actually called Mark, and I was very surprised to find out, one, that he's Scottish, because I just didn't think that I just didn't assume that he would be, and two, that he actually knew Colin McRae as a personal friend, and he knows the McRae family. So I was absolutely blown away by that, as I am a Colin McRae fan, and as most people that are into motorsport, even if you're not a massive rally fan, you'll have some kind of respect and admiration for Colin McRae and his career. So it was really interesting to actually dive into a little bit about the personal side of Colin McRae and his relationship with one of our drivers on the field tonight. I won't bang on about it too much because he might not have even wanted me to mention it, but tough I have now. But Tiny Tortoise, the guy I'm on about, is actually driven and being driven by Colin McRae as well. So it's not just he's a friend, he's actually been out in the rally cars with him and actually had a chance to drive his cars by the sound of it, and learned quite a bit as he's been shown these things along the way, as you can imagine from a rally legend like that. So yeah, I was blown away, and I had about 1,000 questions after he told me that, but I didn't want to seem like an absolute weirdo, so I had to calm myself down a little bit. Anyway, we'll get back to the racing. I'll stop waffling on about that. So Burnt Fry at the moment is provisional pole position, still there with his 136.498, yet to improve, but at the moment it's 6.5 tenths faster than Steer Wheel Racing, so it's pretty secure, unless Steer Wheel Racing just pulls one hell of a lap out of the bag somehow. Oh, closing right up to the back of Cutler on the brakes into the tight right hander, downhill braking, so it's really easy to go deep into there by accident. Just have a quick look at the message. Jay Marriott, good luck fellas, good luck Damo and Phil is written. Couple of fans of some of the drivers out there tonight, just wishing their personal favourite drivers good luck for the race. I'm sure they don't hope that everyone else has bad luck, but I just want to see their drivers or their particular favourite drivers doing well, which is nothing wrong with that. So Burnt Fry actually improving that time round, had a little bit of a slipstream off Cutler, had a bit of something to sort out between the two of them as they came into the last corner, but Burnt Fry managed to get past, and he managed to set another faster lap, so he's got into the 135s now with Burnt Fry, which is really quick round here. A 135.640 is his current time, which is now a second and a half faster than second position, so that gives you some kind of idea of how hard that time is to get. Quite frankly, that's a really good time there from Burnt Fry. Impressive stuff. Good luck Phil there from Paul in the chat. So looking forward to this one, should be good as we've got 2 minutes left to qualify now. We are not far off the start of the race. Hopefully it all runs smoothly tonight and we get away well. The first corner's not too bad at this track. It does end up going into quite a tight chicane, but the run into the first corner, if everyone's sensible, there is enough space, it's wide enough, and if everyone picks the position quite nicely, doesn't try and force too much of an aggressive overtake going into the first chicane, I dare say we should be able to get away with a good clean start here between everyone. It is racing, incidents do happen, but put it this way, it's not a Monza first corner, which is notorious for contacts between all the field. So this is the first corner over here. It's plenty wide enough, so long as people aren't pushing too aggressively through the chicane, everyone should get through quite nicely. The problem being, if you're on the left hand side there to hang out to dry and you get pushed onto the curb a little bit too much, maybe even onto the gravel, then you are going to be dropping back rather quickly. We'll skip through the rest of the drivers, see what else is going on. Oh, just trying to skip up the camera angle, but it won't let me. Neutron Storm put it in 4th position, doing a grand old job yet again. Neutron Storm, a youngster, but certainly got the experience to be able to get the pace out of these cars. Probably took him about 2 weeks to get fast on the wheel and on this game. That's what these young'uns are like. We've got Damien in 5th. Cutler's in the pits. I'm not sure if he's going to come out again, but it seems to be sat there for quite a long time. We're now up to the 15-minute marker, so everyone's on the final lap now if they haven't crossed the line already. So we'll stick on board with Gnarly Pop for the time being. Got someone just coming over the line but haven't improved by the look of it. So Stair Wheel Racing has improved his time, but he's still found himself in second position and not found enough time to jump Burnt Fry and claim that pole position. So Gnarly Pop doesn't improve that time round, and so long as the positions don't change too dramatically from everyone else's last lap, he shall find himself roughly around 6th, starting in 6th, Lucky Bucky in 7th, got Sean in 8th, Armin in 9th. I have to do it like this because once it actually starts I've really got enough time to read out the qualifying order. Phil G in 10th. Not sure if Phil actually managed to get a clean lap in. There's no lap time shown at the top right hand side for him, so we'll just have to keep an eye on him in the race and see how he goes. Big Z struggling a little bit looking at those lap times. He's only managed a 140, so he's quite, I don't really want to say it, but he's a long way off first place. But the race is a different thing. Well, there's a big difference in pace between the front and the back of the field around this track, certainly. I think that's probably the biggest difference we've seen all season, actually. And it seems like a hell of a difference. Tiny Tortoise with a little bit of damage, just pulling into the pits. I might have qualifying wrong. I might have got it completely wrong. I thought it was 15 minutes, could be 20 minutes. Nope, I was right, it has ended now. So we have Burnt Fry in first, Stair Wheel Racing in second. Oh, I had no chance there, did I? Good evening, Adam. Burnt Fry. I'm not surprised, Burnt Fry, that is a hell of a time. I know you had a little bit of a slipstream from Cutler to get that time, but still, that is mightily impressive. Anyway, we are about to get underway for 11 laps around Dragon Trail Seaside, otherwise known as the track with the chicane of death. Oh, Burnt Fry don't get a great start. Gnarly Pop launches it off the line. Beautiful start from Gnarly Pop. See what's going on. Stair Wheel Racing with a good start as well. He's got the inside line into the right hand kink, but he'll be on the outside for the chicane. So we've got Burnt Fry now, not Gnarly Pop, sorry, Stair Wheel Racing in first now. So he's managed to get through on Burnt Fry. I want to say Gnarly Pop every second for some reason. Cutler going wide, and it looked like Lucky Bucky going wide there as well through the first chicane. So that's not ideal. Gnarly Pop has already got a big gap to make up in front in 4th position. Damien following closely. It looks like an AMG race as this at the moment. A lot of AMGs together. Sean in 6th. Looks like everyone's got away quite nicely. Sean has certainly made up a few positions there. It wasn't in 6th a moment ago, so that's good. A good start from him. Phil G was in 10th position on the grid, so he's now got himself up into 7th. I hope he's respectful in the way that he races, because everyone else is well and truly familiar with each other from the weeks that have gone by, and that has just told me that he is. It looked like he was going to dive down the inside of Neutron Storm. He knew he wasn't going to get it done without contact, so he stopped more or less and backed out of it. That instantly tells me that Phil G is quite aware of what's going on, and he's plenty capable. Oh, Sean! Oh no, sorry, it's Tiny Tortoise. No, it isn't, it was Sean. Sean's just hit the chicane of death. He's our first victim on lap 1, and it's really unfortunate to see someone going so early through the chicane and losing it. Armin down the inside. Oh, no, sorry. I'm getting a bit well and truly mixed up tonight. They've changed the liveries on me, some of these guys, so it's hard to recognise who's who. It's Tiny Tortoise down the inside there with a good move. Sean, unfortunately, is going to have to limp back to the pits and get his engine repaired. Oh, I feel like I've messed that start up a little bit, but it's always really difficult to know what to watch, because obviously I don't know what's going to happen. So I feel like sometimes I do it justice and sometimes I don't do it as much justice. And yeah, I feel like I've probably missed a few little things there, but do forgive me. So we've got Damien side by side with Gnarly Pop, and it looks like Gnarly Pop had a little bit of an issue getting traction down out of that corner. Not sure why. He's got no damage or anything, and it looks like he's about to drop another position. Oh, Neutron Storm on one of the hardest corners on the track, where the line is very important through that corner. Almost tried to go around the outside for a second there by the look of it, but Gnarly Pop ran it a little bit wide, and I don't think it would have been possible. So a little bit of action there. The field has already broken up quite considerably here, so we've got a big gap between third and fourth, and then the gaps are developing between the rest of the cars behind as well. We'll jump a little bit further back, see what's going on. Look at this, we've got Tiny Tortoise in 7th, Lucky Bucky in 8th, defending as best he can to Armin through the chicane of death. You do not want to cause contact through there. Oh, that was Armin just losing out a little bit there. Maybe should have backed off just before they got to the chicane. It made it look, well, it looked like it made it a little bit awkward for himself to keep the line there, a little bit too close to the back of Lucky Bucky. As we watch Lucky Bucky going down the inside of Neutron, sorry, oh god, I need to relearn my liveries now. Tiny Tortoise, and Bigsy gets past Tiny Tortoise as well, so Tiny Tortoise has just dropped 2 positions on lap 2. Now on to lap 3. So some good close action going on a bit further down the field here in 7th, 8th and 9th. Now Bigsy's just taken 7th position, but we still have Lucky Bucky running it side by side with complete opposite lines. We've got Bigsy with the inside line now. Oh, took a little bit too much curb. That was what I was on about if you joined me right at the start when I showed you a lap. You take too much curb through that corner, it unsettles the car, and it's really tricky to get the braking done for the tight right-hander. It's a tricky corner at the best of times, but if you've unsettled the car going into it, then it's really, really quite tricky to get it stopped and hit the apex. Oh, just taking a little bit too much curb again. I say too much curb, we got away with it, so maybe it's not too much, but unsettling the car a little bit is more accurate probably. Using the power well there, Lucky Bucky, just noticing that he got on the power quite early out of that corner, but it actually helped him rotate the car a little bit with a bit of oversteer, controllable oversteer, and just helped him rotate the front end a little bit easier through that corner. So looking back, oh, we have an attempt from Armin to claim 9th position off Tiny Tortoise. Will he manage to get it done? Not that corner he wants, but he's certainly got the opportunity into T1 now. Not quite sure why he's pulled out of the slipstream. I think he thought he was going to have the run down the straight there, so he pulled out early, thinking he'd get side by side, but it's not the case. In front we've got Bigsy and Lucky Bucky still fighting away for this one. We will jump up to our leaders in a second and see what's going on towards the front. But meanwhile, Armin, Tiny Tortoise, and now Phil G's getting involved in this as well, having a great race, showing us some great action early on. Sean, I feel sorry for him a little bit, getting it wrong on lap 1 through the chicane of death, and he's found himself right at the back, out of this race now. So he's got quite a bit of work to do. Just keep his head down, keep the consistent laps coming in, and he might make his way back into this race if there's a few incidents ahead. But a bit of an unfortunate one, because in this championship we've got damage on, so if you do have an incident through more than likely the chicane of death on this track, then you don't get away with it basically. You don't just get away with a bit of time loss, you have damage to go and repair as well, so it really can be detrimental to your race, as any crash can be. But it's certainly not an easy corner to get through. There we see Neutron Storm going through, looked like he took it nice and steadily to make sure there wasn't much risk there. So we'll jump back up. We've got Gnarly Pop in 5th, we've got Damien in 4th, NGR Cotlet in 3rd, pretty much the order that we saw at the beginning. Burnt Fry has managed to get himself back into 1st place now, demoting Steer Wheel Racing after his great launch off the line back in 2nd, and Burnt Fry has now got the chance to run away with this one. We're on lap 5, so coming towards the halfway point of this race, and he's picked up a 3-second lead, so doing a great job. steer wheel racing, they seem quite equal on pace, or they have done in previous rounds, Burnt Fry and steer wheel. But this time round, Burnt Fry, I don't know if it's practice or tuning or just pure skill. I don't know what to put it down to, but it seems like he's well and truly on it this week, because Burnt Fry, maybe it's a new livery giving him that little bit of extra speed. So I don't think I mentioned tonight as well. I keep forgetting about things that I should mention. Being the professional that I am, I forget about more or less everything. And yeah, this championship brought to us, or sponsored by, which would be the correct phrase really, Team Oliver Racing, which I believe are going to be providing us with some prizes at the end of this championship. I've actually got myself a Team Oliver Racing fleece, which is very nice indeed, courtesy of Neville, or Potter Pot as you might know him. So yeah, Team Oliver Racing, if you're not familiar of the name, they are a truck racing outfit from the UK, and they're really quite professional and good as well. They race at a high level, they race in the UK Championships, and I believe they actually do some of the European FIA truck racing. I might not have got the title exactly right there, but do forgive me. The European Truck Racing Championship, basically, I believe they do some of the races in that as well. So they're racing a really good standard, and they're not running around at the back either. I've seen some of the finishing results and some of the times that they're putting in after the sessions that they've done, and the more often than not, they're up there, if not leading the session or winning the race. So a really good sponsor to join us for this championship, and I probably don't give them enough credit every week. So a little bit of an explanation of who they are there. Feel free to go check them out. They are on Facebook, and give them a like and follow them and all the rest of it. That way you can keep up with what they're up to as well. But yeah, quite an interesting team. We also have, that was Sir Yorkshire, I didn't even pronounce the H then, that was have, not have. We also have, there you go, Excite energy drink sponsoring this championship as well. I've never had one. Feel free to send me some, Excite, if you're listening to this. I am a fan of energy drinks. Oh, what's happening here? So looks like a bit of lenience there from Big Z. Might have been a previous incident between the two, or something that's felt a little bit fair towards Armin that Big Z's done, because it looked like to me he's just let him through up into 8th position there. Sorry. So Armin getting a free promotion there from Big Z, which is always nice. It's always nice to work hard for an overtake, but at the same time, if you're looking for good results, it's always nice if someone just gives you a position as well. So Phil G, getting some idea of his pace now. His fastest lap of a 1:40.688. Didn't actually see a lap time from him in qualifying, so that's the first real representative fast time I've seen from him. But quite a way off the guys in the top spots. Tiny Tortoise chosen his pit stop on lap 6. Starts lap 7 on fresh tyres. And Sean in the pits as well, coming out all on his own. But look at the mini-map at the bottom, he's a long way back off everyone else, but at the moment it's not looking likely he's going to get lapped, which is always good. We don't want to see people getting lapped if we can help it. So, just for the interest of the action, I'm going to skip through and just see what's going on. See if there's any... Oh, no. So, checking in on Big Z. We've got big damage, and he's still got a hell of a long way to go on this lap. So, I'm not sure where that's occurred. But he's picked up quite a lot of damage, and that engine damage is going to absolutely kill him for the rest of this lap now. And like I've just mentioned, he's still got at least, well, roughly about half a lap to go with that damage. So this might play into the hands of Tiny Tortoise and Sean behind. Sean might find himself gaining a position again here. Biggs are just getting well and truly out of the way. I suspected that's what might have happened when we saw him letting Armin through, but I looked and it wasn't the case. He didn't have any damage. He had quite considerable tyre wear, but it wasn't at the stage of damage by that point, so I'm not exactly sure what's going on there. Right, for those that might have joined me before, you might realise that the replays seem to never ever work for me, so I'm just going to give it a quick test and see if it does for when I might need it later. Nope, doesn't appear to be. Why does it never work? I don't get that. Is it, if anyone else does these or watches live races and you use the replay function that you can utilise with the keyboard, is it still working for you? I wonder if you can answer my question. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I mean, there's only like 3 buttons that do start the replay, but yeah, I'm not sure if Gran Turismo has taken it out of the game or it doesn't work anymore or what, but it's a real shame that that feature has seemed to have disappeared, because we were able a month or so ago to actually go back 20 seconds or so after an incident and actually replay it basically and see what happened. But I'll just try it again. No, really not working, so it's a real disappointment, that, because it means if I don't catch the action on the screen, then we've no idea what's happened, and obviously it's beneficial being a commentator, kind of knowing what's going on. Anyway, not a lot I can do about it, so stop moaning. NGR Cutler in the pits from 3rd position. He's now going to come out of the pits as Damien goes down the start finish straight. Will he get past? Yeah, so just comes out behind Damien, does Cutler. He's dropped 2 positions though, so he's gone from 3rd position into 5th. He's now on fresh tyres and he can push for the remaining 3 laps, but he's got a bit of work to do to try and get that podium back. Damien, as we can see, on relatively fresh tyres as well, so he's not going to struggle too much to keep Cutler behind him. Gnarly Pop might have a bit of an issue though with his tyre wear. He might just try and get to the end of this race without a pit stop now. He's got a 4.2 second gap, but that is closing very quickly though, so I dare say that'll be worrying him and he'll probably jump into the pits this time round. Does seem a little late in the race to be pitting though. I'd be tempted on the start of lap 10, as it will be for Damien, to just carry on basically. Don't even bother thinking about the pit stop now, it's too late. Just try and manage the tyres the best you can and try not to lose too much time. So Burnt Fry, seen a really good consistent race from him. Fastest lap in the race is a 1:36.351 held by Burnt Fry. Not quite the dizzy heights that he had in qualifying of a 1:35. He even said in the chat, those that are in the chat might have seen it, that he surprised himself with that one. That's the first time he's got anywhere near that kind of lap time, so yeah, well done for that, Burnt Fry. It's always good when you actually manage to surprise yourself. He's got a nice healthy lead as Burnt Fry as well, from 2nd position to Veal Racing. 8.5 second gap, and then between Stirwheel Racing and 3rd place Gnarly Pop we have nearly a 14 second gap, so guys at the front have secured those first 2 places, I dare say, without a big incident happening and losing them lots of time. Well, Damien's dropped behind Cutler now, so unfortunately couldn't hold him behind, and he's lost the position, but there's no shame in that. He's still in 5th position and Cutler is on the fresher tyres. So can Cutler catch Gnarly Pop? This is going to be quite interesting now. There's not a lot of time left in the race, roughly about a lap and a half to go, but the gap is down to 2.5 seconds. We will keep an eye on that as I come back to that in a minute. Neutron Storm, very reasonable 6th position at the moment, 37 seconds off the leader. He's got quite the gap to chase the 5th position, but at the moment Neutron Storm really just wants to be concentrating on consolidating his 6th position and trying not to lose it to the fast approaching Lucky Bucky behind. Oh, Lucky Bucky just skimming the wall on the exit. It's not the worst I've seen, but he has picked up a little bit of damage from that. He's got front, I could be wrong actually, he might have had that damage before, but I suspect he's just picked it up from that hit then. And he's got front aero damage, front left suspension damage as well. Doesn't actually affect you that badly in this game, but it does lose you time, don't get me wrong, it does have an effect, but it's not that bad. You don't lose like 3 seconds a lap, put it that way. So further back, we've got Armin in 8th position. Having quite a healthy race with the new guy Phil G as well, right behind him. Oh no, I've got that completely wrong. Sorry, that's Phil G being chased by Sean. So they're pretty close together. Armin's having a bit of a race on his own. I do apologise, got that completely wrong. So everyone coming over the line, over the Tiny Tortoise at the moment, onto their last lap. We've had one racer drop out, and I've missed that. I've missed exactly who that was. Hopefully it will become evident when I've got a chance to have a look properly. So Burnt Fry is going to round out this race. Where that just come from? End. He's going to bring it towards the finish line to win this one. Flashes his lights to celebrate, and congratulations to Burnt Fry. That's another win in this championship, and a very good result, a good race and good consistency all the way through, proving that he's got the skill to do it week in, week out. Steer wheel racing, finishing in 2nd, very good result for him. And Cutler, in the end of the race, he does manage to get his podium back, so he does get back into 3rd position, robbing Gnarly Pop by the look of it on the last lap, which is always a bit upsetting. But Gnarly Pop doing a grand job with that tyre wear. He's more than halfway down on his front left, and that is not easy to handle, and especially on a track like this. This is a track where you do not want to be picking up the understeer, and obviously that's more and more likely as you pick up more damage, more tyre wear. Damien in 5th, we've got Lucky Bucket in 6th in the end, Neutron Storm in 7th. The dad of Neutron Storm is Armin, going to bring it home in 8th. They are actually father-son, Armin and Neutron Storm. Phil G bringing it home in 9th. Not a bad result for his first race in this championship. He didn't finish right at the back at least. Sean F184 in 10th position. Looks like he's going to finish there. And then finally we have Tiny Tortoise. I have so much respect for this guy, by the way, and I hope you guys do as well, because he's, without saying it in a horrible way, he's not the fastest guy on the grid, and I think he'll agree with that, and he'd say that himself, but 10 out of 10 for commitment. He carries on going. It doesn't matter if he has a massive mistake, if he's driving around at the back on his own. That guy is committed and he's got the right attitude. So just full respect for that, and hopefully the other guys have that respect for him as well, because a lot of people, when they don't start getting the results in these championships, they say goodbye, and we see that is not the case from Tiny Tortoise. He's going nowhere, even though he might not be quite getting the results that he wants. He's just happy to play the long game and learn, and it'll come to him in the end. So it was NGR Bigsy that dropped out of that one by the look of it, so that's why we dropped from 12 players to 11 in the end. But and Bigsy's actually left the room now as well, so I'm not sure if that was a bit of an incident. I wish that replay function would work, or if he's just chosen to leave, or an internet connection. I'm not sure why, but looks like Bigsy's left us for tonight. Anyway, I'm going to have a quick sip of juice and catch my breath for a second. Whew. I don't talk this much in real life. I probably, in an hour's race, I probably do more talking than they do in like 4 days in real life. Yeah, not a bad result for Damien. A fair few fans of Damien in here. Not a bad result for Damien whatsoever. In fact, I'll quickly get the race results up before we go back to the next race, just so everyone can have another look. So yeah, finishing in 5th in the end, and Gnarly Pop in 4th. They were the ones that were at fret really towards the end of the race, from the fast approaching Cutler on the fresher tyres than them in the Audi R8 as well. So different car to 4th, 5th and 6th. So yeah, they had that pressure to handle towards the end, but didn't quite manage it, but still very respectable finishing positions. Yeah, well done. Well done to the drivers. A couple of the guys in chat saying well done as well. that was a pretty good race actually. I might not have covered absolutely everything that went on, but there was pretty good driving going on. Bit unfortunate at the start, really. That was a bit of a downside to that race. There were big gaps right at the start, and obviously when that happens, it's not always that easy to close that gap up. So it does mean that there's almost groups of races rather than one big train of cars. We've almost got 3 up front and then 3 in the midfield and then another 3 in the midfield a little bit further back, and that's the way it seems to work if the start doesn't go brilliantly for everyone and there's a couple of people lifting off and diving down the inside and they're all losing time basically. It is hard not to commit to an overtake that's right there in front of you on the first lap, but sometimes it is wise to just ignore it. Don't go for it. Carry the speed instead. Wait for your chance on the straight, because every time you're overtaking, you're not on the fastest line. You're losing time. So yeah, you might have overtaken, say, someone from 7th position into 6th, but you've lost all that time on the guy in 5th. So it's a balancing act. Obviously, you want to go for overtakes. That's the idea of racing, but it is sometimes wise to do it in a certain place, or maybe even leave it a lap or 2 until it's settled down a little bit, just so you're not costing yourself too much time battling too hard through the opening laps, really. And it looks like that's kind of what happened in that one. In fact, no, I'm misrepresenting that one a little bit. I suppose it was more. It wasn't actually the best start for everyone, so there was actually a gap straight away after the first chicane. Anyway, so that was race 1. Over and done with. 11 laps of Dragon Trail Seaside. Race 2 is 19 laps and a slightly different setup. They have to use 2 different compounds of tyre in the second race. There's no super soft in this championship, so that normally means the soft tyre obviously and the medium tyre. Not many people use the hard tyre, but it is an option. It is there if they want to, but it is a slow tyre compared to the medium, so it's interesting to see what strategies people come up with and how it works out in the end. But yeah, what else is different? There's 70% fuel at the beginning of this race. So the one we've just watched, they started with a full tank, 100 litres, and this time round they're starting with 70 litres, so 70%. So obviously they need to pit a little bit earlier for the fuel. And that is roughly it, I think. Oh, and there's the pit window as well. There's the pit window doesn't actually open right at the beginning of the race, so you can come in and fix your car if you pick up damage, but you can change tyres early on. I think it's lap 3 or 4 that you have to wait till you can come in the pits, and that is about that. That's the only differences really. Oh, and the massive one that I always forget to mention, the reverse grid as well. In fact, it's all jogging my mind. I've had a week off here. I've forgotten everything. There is a way, it's the best way to say it, success ballast. That's probably the easiest way to describe it. So the people who won, or the podium sitters from race 1, actually have to put a little bit of extra weight onto the cars for race 2, just to try and balance it out. And it's a reverse grid race as well, so that always kind of makes it interesting. But Burnt Fry, the way he's gone so far tonight, he will be making his way through the field, whether he's got more weight on or not. He had a belting qualifying and an absolute belting first race there. So actually Damo's got his brother watching. Nice, good of you to join us, thank you very much. That was a good race, Burnt Fry, you did well there, mate. Great race all from Steve as well, Steve Hills from CRT, Charlatan Racing Team. You know when you say something and then you think, is that it? Have I just said that wrong? I'm pretty sure that's what it means, CRT. I'll stop just watching the screen and we'll actually jump back on, watch a couple of the cars go around. We've got him first, Neutron Storm. You are correct, I thought I was, it was just one of them moments, you know, when you say something, it just doesn't sound right, it was just one of them. Like when you say a word like 10 times in a row and all of a sudden it's like, is that even a word? That just doesn't sound right all of a sudden now. I suppose this would be a perfect time for you guys to be generous enough to hit that like button if you are enjoying it. Subscribe if you haven't done so already and you fancy sticking with me for the rest of the season or for any of the other races that I cover or do myself. I actually do quite a lot of racing and I'm wanting to do a few more of my own races and cover those. Because I don't actually cover that much of my own racing really, and I kind of want to. That's the whole reason I started this in the first place really, doing the commentary, to actually give myself some kind of like backlog of races that I could go back and watch basically. It's a bit of a history of my racing. God, I waffle on at times. Feel free to tell me to shut up in the chat if you get bored. I'm not easily offended. So Tiny Tortoise will be starting in pole position for this second race. He's actually really quite good at starting as well, his Tiny Tortoise, and normally launches it off the line really quite well, so he's got a good chance of getting a really good start, and so long as the beginning of the race goes well, he should have a good chance of having a decent position out of this next one. 19 laps is a long time though. 19 laps going through the chicane of death is a lot to ask without any contact. We'll just sit back and wait for the show to restart basically. Thank you very much, Steve. It's something I never envisaged myself doing. For those that aren't aware, whether you're interested or not, I'm going to tell you. I started doing commentary literally because I had a really good race, and I just felt like people should see it. And it was one of them races of a lifetime kind of thing at the time. I've had plenty of good races since, but at the time it was one of them unbelievable races, really close, really good action, great overtakes going on constantly, and that prompted me to actually do a commentary over that race. And then basically I started I enjoyed the commentary, so I did more videos and it all started from there basically. And that was it. I had no intention on becoming a commentator, and certainly getting myself into the position of commentating on other people's leagues. I had no intention of doing that, but that's the way it's gone in the end, and I don't mind it whatsoever, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining. But yeah, it's one thing's led to another, and I've ended up doing quite a lot of commentary in the end. But I had no intention of it. I've got to admit though, it is pretty fun. It does add a little bit of a different element to the racing. Obviously I could just race every single night and never chat to anyone, never do any videos or anything like that, but it does add an extra element, and especially for the guys that are involved in the racing and they want to watch it back, it's absolutely brilliant. I've had other people do it for me and I really enjoy watching those back as well when I'm involved in the race. It's really good. And as humans, we are programmed, I don't know what it is, but there's something really good when someone mentions your name and mentions you in a race. I get the same little buzz, don't you, when I'm watching a video and someone's banging on about me, so there's something good about that, and it's nice that I can provide that for some of you guys. Oh, there's the call. Cutler calling everyone to track to be able to start race 2. Just a quick word of warning, when the race does start, just before, it'll come up with the grid. So I've mentioned it's a reverse grid, but if you want to see exactly where anyone's starting, I probably won't have a chance to read it out, so have a quick look at your favourite driver or whatever it might be, and see where they are if you're looking out for them in particular. Good old crash there from Gnarly Pop, writing his car off because it's the end and it's about to start. Can you imagine if the guys in real life did that? End of qualifying, I'm just going to bin it into a wall. I don't think you'll be employed for very long. So, 5 seconds and we're away. We're about to see the qualifying order. There we go. Tiny Tortoise in first, second is Sean, Phil G in third, Armin in fourth, Neutron Storm in fifth, Lucky Bucky in sixth, and so on and so on. Waiting for the lights, revs are rising, the lights are on, lights are out, and away we go. Oh, Tiny Tortoise actually got a little bit of wheel spin going there, so I was expecting to see a good launch from him. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad start, but not quite firing off the line as I expected. Still holds the line into T1 though. He's got Phil G down the inside. Oh, he manages to defend it nicely though. Tiny Tortoise coming through in first position. That's good stuff. Sean with a little bit of an incident, bit of contact by the look of it. Got himself all over the place on the grass, trying to regain it. Armin on the grass as well. It's all going on a bit further back. Gnarly Pop into second position. Neutron Storm in third. Neutron Storm with a great position from the start there. Who was that going wide? Someone else going wide towards the back there. Lucky Bucky going off and going wide. Let's see if anyone's picked up any damage. Doesn't look like it. Everyone making the way through the fast left, right, left chicane. Sean making his way back up into ninth as Phil gets the line a little bit wrong, and Lucky Bucky looks to try and get himself back into this race after a little bit of a poor start there. Steer Wheel Racing already made up a few positions off the start line in this opening lap. Same with Cutler as well. We've already climbed the way up the order a little bit. Oh, what was that noise I just made? That was big contact there. Big contact from Damien by the look of it. He's picked up a little bit of damage. We heard it rather than saw it, and it sounded worse than it probably was. Oh, what's that for the last corner? That's Tiny Tortoise going a little bit wide. Complete opposite line to Gnarly Pop in first. First position now. Gnarly Pop, and we've got Tiny Tortoise, Neutron Storm, and Damien 3 wide here down the straight. Luckily it all sorts itself out through the fast right hand kink before they get to the first real corner, the first chicane. Oh, good move there from Damien. Really good move from Damien there on Tiny Tortoise. Didn't know if he was going to get it done, and especially without contact, but it worked out nicely in the end. Tiny Tortoise just dropping back a little bit, so now dropping into fourth, into fifth as Armin just sends it up the inside into the tight right hander. There's no corner names on this track, with it being a fictional track. It's always quite annoying because I've just got to try and describe the corner. Tiny Tortoise, and battling hard though, back up into fourth. So Armin and Tiny Tortoise having quite the battle already. Cutler in sixth, trying to make his way from the back through the field, as well as Steer Wheel Racing trying to just stick on his bumper and make the same moves as him. We've got Burnt Fryer with a terrible start really, finds himself in 10th position right at the back, and struggling to get a decent start in this one. He's already 16, nearly 17 seconds off the leader, so he's got a lot of work to do now to try and get back into this race. I've noticed he's on the medium tyre though, so he has got the chance to go for a very long stint in this one. Meanwhile, we have Armin in 8th. It looks like Steer Wheel Racing and Lucky Bucky have just got past him. Cutler now up into 5th, so some good moves there from Cutler to make the move up into 5th. Tiny Tortoise, so keep an eye on him because quite frankly I want to see how he does with a bit of pressure on him a bit higher up the field. it's all bunching up behind. These guys have got to be careful. It's quite a long race. They don't want to get too frustrated following the car in front and go for a bit of a silly move or anything. This is where patience sometimes pays off in races like this. Oh, look at that lucky bucky, getting a really good run out of there. Nearly got side by side with Cutler on the exit, but it looked like he just had to back out a little bit as he touched his wheels on the grass. Oh, look at that, 5 corners going through that corner, pretty much exactly the same time. Awesome action from 4th to 9th, I think it is. Cutler's managed to get through on Tiny Tortoise now, so he's taking that 4th place off him. Tiny Tortoise battling hard to try and not lose any more positions behind. Lucky Bucky now looking to get past him. Steer Wheel Racing defending the inside to Armin behind in 8th. Great action on the opening laps from these boys. We've got Phil heading to the pits early doors. Not sure why. Oh yeah, he's got front damage, front aero damage and front suspension damage, or geometry damage, whatever you want to call it. So Phil coming out in 10th position, that promotes Burnfry up into 9th. But keep an eye on this, look at the pressure now on the back of Tiny Tortoise. Lucky Bucky piling the pressure on the back of Tiny Tortoise, but he can't afford to sit there too long because he's got Steer Wheel Racing, which has already proved tonight he's really quick around this track, so he'll be looking for the opportunity as soon as it arises to dive for the overtake. So again, a bit of patience, a bit of intelligence going on here to try and make these positions up. It's good to see as well. At the end of the day, if you want to see people just diving for positions and just going for stupid moves, get yourself involved in daily races. This is why we love league racing, because everyone's joined. Oh no 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 no! Oh, Lucky Bucky and Steer Wheel Racing actually ended up going side by side for the chicane of death there, and there was a little bit of contact, so that has not ended up well for those two. Really unfortunate, and that is exactly what I was talking about, patience and all the rest of it. So maybe the patience ran out a little bit there. That has played right into Tiny Tortoise's hands. Look at the gap he's got now, so that pressure's all of a sudden disappeared from behind. He's well and truly secure in 5th position now, onto lap 5 as well, so quarter of the way through the race or thereabouts. We will skip up to the leaders. We haven't actually covered them a lot at the moment. So we've got Gnarly Pop in 1st, Neutron Storm in 2nd. Neutron Storm leading away from Damien. So Damien had the lead at the beginning of this race and he's slowly dropped down to 3rd. Still in a very respectable position, chasing Neutron Storm down as well in the Aston Martin. But he has dropped a few positions, so hopefully he can keep the pace going and not drop too much time to Cutler behind. Cutler doing a great job though. He finished 3rd in the last race, so obviously started towards the back. That will have started him in 9th in this one, so he's already up into 4th, which is obviously quite a few positions up from 9th, and that's a very impressive start in 5 laps. Burnfry, we saw a little bit of an incident. Well, I didn't actually catch the incident, but we saw him at the back at the beginning, and that was unlike him really, with a big gap to the guys in front, so I fear something happened. Not exactly sure what, but he's managed to make up a bit of time now and got himself back into 6th. Phil in 7th, Armin in 8th, Lucky Bucky in 9th, and we've got Steer Wheel Racing now after that incident with Lucky Bucky through the chicane of death in 10th. So that'll be lesson learned. I bet they won't do that one again. I'm not sure if they actually meant to do that, or there was a bit of just a bit of confusion, or someone took a bad line and they just ended up meeting each other side by side because of the difference in lines they were taking. So Tiny Tortoise in the pits now. He was in 5th position. We'll keep an eye on where he comes out, but he's one of the first to drop in the pits for fresh tyres. goes for the medium for this stint. Full tank of fuel, so he's looking for a long stint now. Might work in his favour if he can keep the laps coming in at a reasonable pace. He'll make those positions back up as the pit stops start happening in front of him. Stir wheel racing as well. After that incident, he's gone for a full tank of fuel, dropped onto the mediums as well. Oh, lucky bucket, doing his best Ken Block impression out of there. I haven't really covered anyone on board, bear with me, I've got to do that to be able to switch up the camera angles. Isn't it great, Gran Turismo Sport? Side by side, Lucky Bucky and Armin. Oh, Lucky Bucky was not going to give that one away easily. Fired it in around the outside, tried to get it stopped at the apex, went a little bit deep, but he did manage to stop it enough to be able to get round. And he's taken 7th position off Armin there. But look at that. It's gone straight back to Armin as Lucky Bucky just pulls to one side. Not sure exactly why. Similar to what we saw in the first race there. A couple of the guys letting each other through without much explanation. I must have missed something because you don't give away positions for free for nothing. So Armin back up into 7th. We've got Neutron Storm just coming out of the pits. Looking back, he's got no worries from the guys behind. Bill G now up into 5th. He's yet to pit. Right, will the replay work this time? Nope. That's really frustrating. So not a lot of action going on around Cutler. Quite a big gap in front. 8 seconds to the guy in front, 5 seconds to the guy behind. So pretty much racing around on his own at the moment. Look at this from Burnt Fry. So Burnt Fry went for a really early stop, and I feel like this has really worked out for him. He has got low fuel though, so he will need to stop again sometime soon. Just purely for fuel. He probably will throw a new set of tyres on as well once you're in the pits. You might as well. But Damien's actually got a bit of damage. Probably picked that up through the chicane. It's not that much of a tricky track. Well, better way of saying it is, if you do go wide or have an incident on any of the other corners around this track, you're very unlikely to actually pick up any damage really. There's not many barriers to claim you as a victim. So that's why I always assume the damage has come from the chicane of death really. We'll just skip through and again keep an eye on what's going on. Don't really just want to watch cars going around on their own, so try and find a bit of action to watch. So working its way back out again now, so Tiny Tortoise, as predicted, has gained a few positions. Now the pit stops are happening around him. He's back up into 8th position. We've now got Armin in the pits. Seems like an incredible long pit stop when you've got fuel to put on. Lucky Bucky in the same position, got quite a bit of damage to fix as well. So fills up with fuel, fixes the damage and puts a new set of medium tyres on. So Lucky Bucky is looking to get back into this race now. He's quite a way off the leader and even the guy in 9th position. So Lucky Bucky, a bit of an unfortunate opening couple of laps that have dropped him back into that position. But again, that is the nature of this track. It's so unforgiving on certain corners. So just checking the gaps between the cars. There's no majorly close racing going on at the moment. So I think what we'll do in the interest of some kind of entertainment is stick on board with Gnarly Pop for at least the rest of this lap and we'll see how it goes. Currently in 1st place, so doing a great job. We've got Damien in the pits at the moment and Burnt Fry as well, both needing fuel, so they'll be on for a long stop. So Burnfry, interestingly, I don't know if he's done all his calculations, but he hasn't actually filled up with fuel, so hopefully he's worked it out right. He's put fuel on, but he didn't actually fill it, so hopefully he's calculated that right and he hasn't shot himself in the foot for later on. Look at this from Gnarly Pop, he's definitely coming in the pits this time, and that's if he gets to the pits. He's barely got any fuel left. So after Gnarly Pop's dived in, we'll see where he comes out, and then we'll go through the field and see what's happened after the pit stop, the first pit stop window really. And for some of the guys, actually the second pit stop they've just done. Done quite well to make the soft tyre last as well as he has there from Gnarly Pop. But we didn't quite see that kind of tyre saving in the first race, so he's done a better job than they were doing in the first race of saving his tyres. I suppose it does help that they start on 70% fuel, because obviously they've got a lighter car, so the tyre wear is not quite as bad. Mrs. Miggins will put the kettle on in the pits. I have no idea who Mrs. Miggins is, but I like the idea of it. Come in the pits, have a little brew whilst you wait for your fuel. Wouldn't it be nice, eh? So, Gnarly Pop has regained first position, he's re-entered after his pit stop. Cutler's now in second. Not much of a gap between these two, so we'll keep an eye on the battle for first place. This could heat up quite quickly. We've got Damien in third. I've said it in probably all the previous rounds that have gone by, but full credit to everyone for the liveries that they've created this season. Looking absolutely brilliant, the cars, and there's a lot of effort clearly gone into the effort of making a livery, and believe me, if you've never done it, it is a hell of an effort. You can spend more time making a livery than you can racing. But yeah, good to see the Team Oliver racing stickers and the Excite energy drink stickers all over the car, as well as the Aided Cheat stickers as well, which is always nice to see. And a selection of whatever else the guys wanted to put on the cars. Ho ho ho, Burnfry on the ragged edge there through the chicane of death, just got away with it. But certainly had a bit of oversteer to correct as he came out through the exit. Look at this now, well and truly putting the pressure on Damien. He's looking for that podium position now, he's Burnfry. BMW versus Mercedes, it's like a DTM race. Damien, I expected him to go defensive then, but he's obviously quite confident he had the pace to be able to stay in front through that corner. Burnfry hustling him now though, really putting the pressure on. Oh, just going a little bit deep there, Damien, and Burnfry just hooking up the apex a little bit better. It's not made any difference though. So arguably, this is the trickiest part of the track in my opinion. Obviously the chicane of death has its perils, but if you get the line wrong through that section that I've just mentioned there, which I've just watched them come through, it's really, really hard to regain it back. And even if you don't go off track, you do lose a lot of time from getting the line wrong through that section. So really tricky part of track. And it's the first corner that you need to get right to line up the second two corners after that. So although it's a fictional track is this, it does make for some great racing. Is this Burnfry's chance? He's got the inside, down the inside, and gets through quite easily in the end by the look of it on Damien. Damien just concedes the place as Burnfry had the track position there to get the overtake done. So Damien will now look to come back at him into T1. He's got the inside line for the fast right-hand kink, but he'll be on the outside for the actual chicane. Allows Burnt Fry the racing line. That's another odd characteristic of this track. That fast right kink, if you actually want to try and dive down the inside of someone into the first chicane or the first real corner, you've actually got to go around the outside of that fast kink if you're going side by side to be on the inside for the next one. So it's a bit of an odd corner in that regard when you're trying to overtake someone round the outside, but you're actually thinking a corner ahead really, and you're lining yourself up for the inside for the next one. So what have we got going on? Oh, Cutler's now in first place. So I'm not sure what's happened there to Gnarly Pop, but Gnarly Pop has dropped back into second. He hasn't got a lot to worry about though, because Cutler needs a pit stop for fuel. So Cutler will be coming into the pits sometime soon. Now on lap 12, it's flying by, is this? This could be quite good actually if I get it right. Actually see, oh, what was that? Burnt Fry getting claimed as a victim through the chicane. He won't be the last one, and he isn't the first, and Damien now regains third position because of that. So Burnt Fry, yep, he's picked up massive amount of damage because of that mistake. So he's going to have another pit stop, and I believe this is going to be Burnt Fry's third pit stop in this race. Cutler's in the pits from first position. So Gnarly Pop has now re-inherited first. Damien's now in second. Cutler's just come out back into third. Looking behind from Cutler, which it won't let me do for some reason. No one behind him to worry about. Burnt Fry has now lost a position in the pits to Stir Wheel Racing. So Stir Wheel Racing just coming out a couple of seconds ahead of Burnt Fry. And these guys are actually first and second in the championship, so they might be slightly more aggressive towards each other because the points really count between those two. I'm not saying there will be, but they might just be that little bit more dedicated to try that overtake. Oh, so the CRT liveries are all down to Paul Twig, which is actually in the chat. So brilliant job there, Paul. Looking awesome this season. I would agree with Steve there. He's a superb livery maker. Oh, that was a good time to jump on board the Cutler on his outlap as well, but it looked like he was still pushing through the chicane. So looking at the mini map at the top right, if we go to the cars behind, it looks like they're pretty close together. So we've got Burnt Fry and Stir Wheel Racing, as I mentioned half a lap ago, both fighting for the top of the championship. Look at that, nice move there from Burnt Fry, around the outside on the last corner. Not an easy corner to get right as well. It's a bit of a late apex, and if you get on the power too early, you can end up running the exit curve a little bit too much. So it's not the trickiest corner in the world, don't get me wrong, but it is kind of crucial when you get back on the power, because you can create your own understeer if you get back on the power too early. So Burnt Fry cementing that place really. I thought Stir Wheel Racing might have a bit of a go straight back at him, but Burnt Fry's actually gained a little bit of a gap, a couple of car lengths in between them now. So that action didn't last long. Phil G in 6th, having a better race than he had in his first race with us tonight, but doing a great job in 6th at the moment. Neutron Storm, which we know is no slouch, is in 7th. Armin in 8th. So son and the father chasing each other around the track. I imagine with the son being 13 as well, they live in the same house, so they probably have a good old chat and a good old laugh about the racing afterwards. Tiny Tortoise now in 9th. bit unfortunate to see him drop back so far after having such a good opening to this race, but that's the way it goes sometimes. And Lucky Bucky really unlucky in this one. He seems to have caught the chicane a few times and had a few incidents, and finds himself in 10th. So jump back and just quickly skip through again and see what's going on. Cutler in the R8. He does a really good job of driving the R8, the Audi R8, does Cutler. I've driven it in a championship before, and it's really not an easy car to drive. I always found the suspension's really quite hard, so if you start running the curbs a little bit too much, you really start suffering, what am I trying to say? Start suffering, it unsettles the car a lot, and you start losing a lot of lap time. So it is a fast car if you can drive it right, but you've got to keep it nice and settled, otherwise you're on to terrible times. So Burnt Fry couldn't have had more of a mixed race in this one. He's been up, down, been in the pits more than anyone else, and to say he's had all that to compete with, he's actually doing a great job to still be in 4th position. Skimming the wall there, causing a few sparks. Heady, oh my god! He needs to slow down a little bit there, does Burnt Fry. He's normally listened to me as well as he races, so yeah, take it easy, Burnt Fry. You don't want to lose it all through there. Fair play to you though, pushing through the chicane. So steer wheel racing now. Burnt Fry's got past. He's just struggling to stick with him, and the gap's grown and grown. Still in a very respectable 5th position. I'm not taking anything away from him, but not quite managed to stick with Burnt Fry once he got past. Again, not a lot going on, which always leads me to wonder what I should talk about and who I should look at. In fact, we'll keep an eye on Lucky Bucky. He's closing down Tiny Tortoise here. Armin's in the pits as well, so these guys are going to get promoted so long as they don't need another pit stop. Look at this now. Lucky Bucky right on the back of Armin. Oh, no, sorry, wrong way around. Lucky Bucky right on the back of Tiny Tortoise. Armin's just come out of the pits in 10th. Ooh. So to say the tyre wear isn't too bad at the rear, there's a couple of guys that seem to be struggling with oversteer. Whether that's down to car setup or just the way they're driving, I'm not quite sure, but certainly seen a couple of kicks from the rear end from a few of these cars. So Damien's just been in the pits. Where's he going to come out? Oh, he's still in the pits, sorry. Now you're onto something there, Paul. You're right about that. I have actually filled up my replay library, so I bet that's it. I bet that's exactly why I can't use it. God damn, that's even more annoying. If I'd have deleted one replay, I could have been using the replay function. You live and learn, I guess. I'll make sure, if that is the case, that we have it ready for next week. It sounds about right, that, now you've said it, actually. So Damien's actually come out in 5th position. Not bad at all. But he hasn't got long left to try and make up any positions. 3-second gap to steer wheel racing in front to try and close down. No real pressure from Phil behind to worry about. But he's got a bit of work to do now in the last phase of this race. He's closing the gap down to steer wheel racing though. He's just taking 2 tenths out of him rather quickly through 1 or 2 corners. Getting up to 4 tenths now, so he is taking that time out of him and he is catching him. Damien just needs to keep his head down, keep it nice and clean, consistent, and he might have a chance of actually getting 4th. Or certainly be able to put some pressure on 4th. So Cutler, it's all worked out quite nicely for Cutler in this one. He's got the tyres and the fuel to go to the end now. And he's in 2nd position, so... Oh, Commentator's curve. Oops. Sorry if that was my fault, Cutler. I'm sure it wasn't, but it feels like it sometimes. He manages to get going again after a huge spin. Didn't collect any damage from any contact on the barriers or anything. But that will have shaken him up, knocked his confidence a little bit, and luckily he's still in 2nd position, so he hasn't actually lost a position, but it's obviously not ideal. Can be tricky, these races with when they're a bit longer, just purely for concentration. Lap after lap, hitting every apex, getting your braking points exactly bang on. It's not easy sometimes when it's a long race, and one little lapse of concentration and that can cause a big mistake. So we do often see a few little mistakes creeping in towards the end of the race. Burnfry is giving me some right entertainment through that corner. I think he's mastered how he can lose the rear end, skim the barrier and just about get away with it, because he seems to be doing it lap after lap now. It took him a few bad attempts to get it right though. Oh, I shouldn't laugh. Oh, Cutler is probably feeling the pressure now. He's got half a second only to the guy behind. Onto the final lap, so he doesn't have to defend for too long. If he can keep it going for the rest of this lap, keep it nice and clean, he should manage to keep that 2nd position, but Burnfry is definitely going to be chasing it. Got the gap down to 4 tenths now, so this is hotting up towards the end. Let's see how Damien's doing against Wheel Racing. He's got the gap down to less than a second now as well. So Damien's got a good chance on this last lap as well, if he can just close that a little bit more. He's getting towards half a second now. This could be really interesting towards the end. Neutron Storm and Phil quite close together as well. A bit of a gap between them, over a second, but still pretty close to say we've had 19 laps on this track. And so we will skip back up for the interest of the action on the last lap to Damien. Oh, I've just noticed the position change, so Burnfry has just got past Cutler on the last lap and manages to make it into 2nd position in the end. Cutler now has only a couple of corners to go to try and regain that. Oh, Burnfry again through there. So Gnarly Pop's actually finished in 1st position. Congratulations to Gnarly Pop, brilliant race in the end, and really well done to actually keep it up there and keep the laps coming in to gain a win. So Burnfry manages in the end to finish in 2nd, Cutler in 3rd. Let's have a quick look at Steerwheel and Damien. Steerwheel now, oh, so Damien's had a big mistake somewhere along the lap. Steerwheel Racing finishing in 4th with now a 7-second gap to Damien behind. So that gap was down to more or less half a second, now up to 8 seconds. So Damien really suffering somewhere along the way on the last lap. He's actually picked up damage. Luckily it was the last lap, he didn't need to come in the pits and repair that, so he does finish in 5th. Good race there from Damien. He was a bit higher up earlier in the race, so it might not have been the result he was after, but still a very good result. Nice J turn there from Neutron Storm, brilliant stuff. Quite hard to do actually in a Group 3 car, so nice bit of skill there. NGR Armin in 7th. So father and son finishing in 6th and 7th. Good results for those two. Good result for Armin actually. Tiny Tortoise in 8th in the end. Well done to Tiny Tortoise. Good finish for Tiny Tortoise. I think if I remember rightly, it's hard to remember everyone's results for the full championship, but I think that's probably his highest finishing position. So congratulations there to Tiny Tortoise. Well done again on sticking with it and keeping the racing going. And then finally, we have Phil that's finished in 9th already. And then finally, coming over the line, we have CRT Lucky Bucky. Unfortunately, with a few incidents early on, finishing in 10th. So, before my voice goes, that is that. It is starting to go as well, going all high pitched. Oh god, nice just to show up for a second. So that was, I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't the most entertaining racing. It wasn't bumper to bumper every single lap. There was certainly a few good overtakes in there and some really good good laps going in to catch the guys in front when there was a bit of a gap. So really good stuff from everyone involved. Congratulations guys, good results, and yeah, well done. That was some good racing. It's good to get back into it as well after a week's break. I'm sure everyone was itching to get going last week, but it seems like a long time even though it's only a week's break. So yeah, there we go. 2 races completed at Dragon Trail Gardens. Not Gardens, sorry, Seaside. And pretty successfully in my opinion. Burnt Fry with some brilliant entertainment in that second race for the Chicane of Death. Really pushing it and getting the rear end out pretty much every lap, and on occasions hitting the barriers as well. But really good stuff. So thank you very much. Anyway, I'm going to pretty much wrap it up there, and think about what else I need to say. Not a lot really. Another shout out to our sponsors, Team Oliver Racing. Feel free to go check them out on Facebook. I recommend you do so actually. They're really quite an impressive team. And Excite Energy Drinks as well, which I only realised last week. I've been spelling wrong for the last 2 seasons. Oops. Well, there you go. Right, anyway, thank you very much for joining me. I really do appreciate it, and especially if you've stuck with me right from the start, thank you very much. I will see you all again next week for next week's race. Being the professional that I am, I have no idea what track it is. I wish I could tell you, but I haven't looked. So yeah, that pretty much concludes round 6. Thank you again. Take care. Feel free to hit that like button if you have enjoyed it. Subscribe if you feel like sticking with me for future races and the rest of this season. And I will see you again soon. Take care. Look after yourself. Stay safe. Bye for now. Oh, wrong button.